Are you a composer who's feeling stuck, feeling like you can't finish your tracks? You're constantly feeling overwhelmed or unsure which direction to take your music. And even once you actually finish your music, you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to make the most of this piece of music you have. Where are the opportunities? If you're ready to start feeling unstuck and start really leveling up your music career, then this video is going to be the roadmap for you. In this video, I'm going to show you my system. The system I've used throughout my career, which has enabled me to produce 30 albums in 6 months, to write an album in a day, to land hundreds of placements, to get regular royalty statements from my music being used on TV and things like that. And most of all, to turn my music into an income. There's 4 steps to this. Step 1, and this one is really important and often overlooked, is to look at where you're feeling stuck. Look at what is blocking you. That could be a case of need to improve your workflow, or having intrusive negative thoughts, or just feeling like you don't know where to go. And looking at that block is really important. I often suggest that you do something like journaling or just going for a walk and thinking about what's going on. Like, what is happening in this process? What is stopping you from achieving the things you want? What is stopping you from taking your music from A to B? This is your chance to take a little bit of reflection, to sit back and look at your process, to look at what you're doing and really think about it. Because as much as I can show you the ropes and show you all the steps you need, in this case 4 steps, this is step 1, if you're not going to put the time in, then you're not going to see the results. And this is the first chance for you to prove yourself, to put the time in, to sit back and go, right, what is going on? And it could be, like I said, it could be, okay, yeah, I feel like I lack confidence, like I have a lot of self-doubt. I speak to a lot of composers who suffer from that intrusive negative thoughts of, oh, this isn't good enough. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, this, constantly criticizing. And this is probably going to be the biggest one, this mindset, which we'll get onto in a minute. But addressing what it is really important. That's our first step. You might know straight away, in which case, step 1, tick. You might say, you know what? I just can't get my tracks over the line. I can produce music to a certain level, but I can't get it over the line, which again is very common. So once you've addressed this block, the thing that is stopping your flow, it's then a case of working on your mindset. And for me, the most important aspect of this is focus. Let me explain. Let's say you've cleared your block, or at least you understand, you are aware of what is blocking you. Your next step here is to establish the focus, your goal, where you want to go. Because if you create a piece of music and it doesn't have a clear intention behind the creation, then it is harder to understand if that piece of music has achieved its purpose. Let's say you just write, and I do this a lot still, I sometimes write music just for fun, but I establish that is the fun. I'm just doing this for fun. If I enjoy it, job done. But if I produce a piece of music with the intention of this hopefully making me money, and I finish this piece of music and I go, well, now what am I supposed to do with it? All of a sudden, we're still lost with this piece of music. Even though we've got a product, we're still no better off because we haven't established the focus. We haven't established the goal. And that's really, really important. I talk to all of my mentoring clients about this, about focusing on where you want to be. Now, obviously, a lot of people I speak to want to have their music in trailers. So their focus is trailers. But we can go even more focused than that. We can say, well, what type of trailers? Well, yeah, okay, I want to do horror. Okay, what type of horror? You want to do psychological? You want to do like jump scares? And establishing that means that you can then focus on where that track is going to go. If you're going to go for horror trailer music, then that opens you up to a certain selection of trailer music companies that do horror really well, or even a certain selection of libraries that do horror really well. And if we step out of the trailer world, let's say, okay, I want to get into production music and my bag is minimalism. And you go, great. okay, I'm going to find some people, find some libraries that produce minimalist music. Where could that go? It could be underscores for TV. If you lean it towards the electronica, again, same thing. What it is here is I can't tell you where you want your music to be. I can't tell you what that goal is. That is for you to decide. It could be that you want it to achieve streams. Great. And that is really important. You understand, step one, what your block is or what is stopping you from getting to where you want to be. Step two is establishing where you want to be. You might be thinking, hang on, shouldn't I do step 2 first or step 1? Yeah, you could do. Step 1, step 2, they can happen at the same time, or you can swap them around, establish where you want to go, and then establish what is stopping you from getting there. And that's really important. This idea that you go, right, it's like making a trip. You go, I am going to go to London today. I have my destination. And what is stopping me from going to London today? Well, I don't have enough money to pay for a train ticket. Okay, well, how do I get the money to pay for the train ticket? I take the money out of the bank. There we go. Money, I've got the money. I now know I can get to London. There's my journey planned. And the next stage, step 3, is getting to that point. Or at least acting like you are there. So let's return to the trailer music composer here. They've established they want to do psychological horror trailer music. So nothing too outlandish, a little bit thrillery, tension, great. They've established that actually they have some issues with their workflow. So the next step here is to focus on what is stopping you and how you can adjust that. And the way that I often encourage people to do this is to shrink their expectations of themselves. Not like expect very little from yourself because you're rubbish. I mean, expect a small win. Celebrate a small win. So you go, okay, right, well, my workflow's not great. The first thing I can do is I can work on improving my workflow. I can lay out my templates ready so that I can just get on the writing. Great. When you've done that, celebrate that. That is a big win. If you've got intrusive negative thoughts, then you need to practice something like the composer hat. You put a hat on, sounds silly, but you don't have to do it physically, but you can pretend. But you could grab a hat or a tie or whatever it is, a piece of clothing or something, and when you put that on, it is only the composer who is allowed to be there when you're writing. And what I mean by that is when you're sat writing a piece of music, it's not just the composer there, it's the producer, it's the mixing engineer, it's the marketing agency, it's all of these people's voices are flowing around in your head. Oh no, this isn't sounding good enough yet, we need to shift this, we need to do this. That's the producer. You say, oi, producer, step out of the house. I've got my composer hat on. I'm only writing. You let the composer write. You let that idea out and you sketch the piece of music. Now, a lot of people suggest, in trailers specifically, a lot of people suggest writing your third act completely. I disagree. I think the best way to relieve the pressure off yourself as a composer is to sketch the whole track from start to finish. Establish the structure, establish your main chord progressions, establish your main melodies, and that's your sketch. You can put some little things in there like some hits or transitions, but for now, you're just writing it as if it's a complete piece of music, but that has been stripped back down to its most essential elements. So for me, that often works in terms of I have a bass line, I have a melody, and I have an ostinato or pattern or a riff. And those three things allow me to shape the whole track incredibly quickly. So this is step 3. This is actually doing the work. This is getting into the flow to produce your best work. Because you want to be able to write the music quickly and easily and enjoy it. Then you add the orchestration, the layers. Then you add the details. And then you add the polish. Because what will happen if you write your track all of Act 3, or let's say all the chorus, where you've gone from idea to polish, everything you do after that will sound weak and unfinished in comparison, because it is. Whereas if you do the whole thing at the same time, sketch the track, orchestrate and arrange the track, add details to the track, and add polish to the whole track, it grows as a whole. And you'll find yourself finishing music much more easily and enjoyably. Really important. So we've gone through step 1, which is establishing your blocks. Step 2, establishing your goal with the piece of music and with your career. Step 3 is finishing a piece of music, or at least getting into the habit of producing a piece of music. Now, if we go back to step 2, we've established our goal of where we want the music to be. You can go even more focused with this. You can go, right, okay, I want to approach this library with my psychological horror. And you listen to all of their stuff, and you can do one of two things. You can go, does my finished track hold up to their catalogue? Or does my finished track fill in some gaps in their catalogue? And this is where we go to step 4, which is the outreach stuff, which is where we go, okay, I've established my goal, I've improved my flow, I've written a piece of music for this goal, and I'm now going to take this to the next step. This is where I start pitching to clients, pitching to production companies, pitching to production music companies or trailer music companies or whatever it is, playlisting. Whatever your goal is, this is where you now start to get this music out there and get this music heard. But we still need to think about the goal that you've set in step 2. And you want to think, okay, where is this in the journey? Does this fit my goal, this piece of music? And does this fit the place it needs to be? Will it fit on that playlist? Will it fit with this trailer music company's catalogue? Will it fit on this TV show? And once you go, yeah, I'm happy with this. In fact, I'm really happy with this. I'm going to take it to this next step, this next stage. That is when you start doing outreach, once you've built yourself a portfolio. Now, this is the key here, the word portfolio. Now, it sounds pretentious. Portfolio, for those of you who aren't sure, just means collection of work. So you've got your collection of work. Now, I often recommend only having a portfolio of 3 tracks because we want to hear 3 bangers. Whether that displays a scope of or a range of different genres and styles, or whether it's just like 3 quite similar tracks to fit a specific niche, that's up to you and your goal. Same with the playlist. If these 3 tracks fit the playlist, great. But let's go with 3, because also we want to go back to that idea of celebrating small wins, of going, I don't want to set myself up to create 10 tracks because we'll get burnt out, we'll get overwhelmed, and it'll get stressful. You go for 3 tracks. You go, I'm going to produce 3 tracks. Once you've got those 3 tracks, you then start to reach out to the appropriate people. Now, the thing you've got to remember is with all of this stuff, with outreach, you're dealing with people. They're not these gatekeepers, or they're just people. And believe it or not, they're usually very, very busy. So you send an email, a personalized email to whoever it is, the owner of the playlist or the owner of the library or the whoever it is that takes submissions. Hey, I absolutely love the work you've done, and I think my music would be a great fit. I've included a link to my portfolio or a link to the tracks. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd really love to work with you guys in the future. Thanks. Your name. Something like that. Keep it simple. And what this does is then gives you another reason to email. You might get a response, thanks for email, but no thanks. You might get a thanks for email, we listened, we love it, great. You might get nothing. In which case, if you get nothing, leave it a week, email again. Hey, just follow me up on my email from last week. I would suggest following up twice, so in total you send 3 emails. You can follow up more, because I have had that. It's not annoying when someone follows up. It's only annoying when someone follows up and it's irrelevant to me. Hi, I work at a marketing agency and I've just noticed your Instagram needs some followers. Nothing actually about me. That's why I thought talk about in the first thing, you personalize it. I love what you're doing. I love the work you're doing. You could give an example, like on a playlist. Oh, I love the fact that you've chosen this track in your playlist, or I love the fact that you've landed this trailer, or I love this album that you've produced. Keep it personal and focused. Now, when you get to this point, you're now in this loop where you're in the flow of writing, finishing tracks and submitting tracks for work with clients. Writing, finishing, submitting. And you just keep doing it. Keep doing it. This is what's happened with my students who've done my mentorship. We worked together to build up their portfolio, work through growing their confidence and building this portfolio to a level where they felt confident in submitting. They started submitting. And lo and behold, they got some responses, and now they're working with libraries. They're working with libraries linked to their goal. I mean, it's great. It's great. It's really exciting. And that's what we want. We want you to kind of establish that goal, clear your blocks so you can work freely and easily, and then keep reaching out to people. The reason we keep reaching out is because a couple of things. It stops you thinking about the emails that haven't been responded to, and it keeps you in a proactive state. Now, I'm not suggesting that you spam every possible contact you possibly can. Remember, this needs to be related to your goals. These needs to be the companies that you want to work with. These need to be the playlists you want to land. These needs to be the people you want to collaborate with. It has to be focused. And eventually, maybe immediately, someone will respond, and it will now be writing and finishing music and working with a client. I do recommend having more than one client because sometimes that work doesn't carry on after you've done one album. And that's just the way it is. Sometimes it will be 10, 15 years, lifelong relationships you're building. A little tip here when it comes to playlisting. Quite a few of my students have used Realcrafter. Now, this isn't an affiliate thing like that, but they use Realcrafter because you can create these nifty little landing pages with your music, and you can see who has clicked the link when you email them and who has listened. So it helps you in that feedback loop. You go, oh, okay, that library actually clicked and listened a few times. So you could say that. You don't even say, I noticed you're listening to music, but you now know, okay, they're listening, great. Okay, they haven't clicked the link, let's send it again. And this is how you get unstuck and you take your career to the next level using those 4 steps. Step 1, establish what is stopping you from getting where you want to go. Step 2, establishing where you want to go. Step 3, working on your workflow, on your creativity and inspiration, on producing the music and finishing it. And step 4 is getting it out there, sharing it with the world. Not just putting it on your Instagram, written through a piece of music, but being focused, being targeted with it. Now, if you are interested in working with me and having mentoring with me, I'll pop a link in the description below where you can book a chat. We can talk about your goals and how we can work together to get you unstuck and get you to the next point in the career that you want. I'm really grateful that you listened and watched this video, and I really do hope it's helped some of you. Feel free to drop some comments below, any thoughts, any feedback. Love to hear from you guys, and you're awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.